Our first honoree is no stranger to the stage. She is the founder of and visionary behind the Women's History Month celebration. The groundbreaker celebration, not just Women's History Month, but even though Deborah has done amazing things. Deborah Levine is an award-winning author, cross-cultural expert, and Huffington Post religion blogger. With degrees in cultural anthropology and urban planning, her writing about diversity spanned decades, with articles published in the American Journal of Community Psychology, the Journal of Public Management and Social Policy, and the Harvard Divinity School Bulletin. Her most recent book, Going Southern, The No-Mess Guide to Success in the South, is featured on C-SPAN's Book TV. As the creator of the American Diversity Report and Women's Council on Diversity, Deborah continues to provide programming, training, and presentations on our growing Southern global connection. She also serves on Volkswagen's Diversity Advisory Council. Here's Deborah Levine with What Broken Bones and Breaking Ground Have in Common.
Yes. I'm going to do my story today with my broken arm in a sling. I had a kerfuffle with the floor at a department store, and the floor won. And as I lay there looking up at the ceiling, all I could think of was, how am I going to get everything done for women groundbreakers? I'm sure everyone could hear me muttering throughout the store, "We're doomed!" But then again, the broken bone factor makes it all the more interesting. And this is a broken bone, yes. It is not a disability, as much as I say that since I haven't driven in 3 months, but it is not. It is interesting. And it is not the first time in which I have done major programming with a broken bone. Years ago, I was sitting in my Chicago office. I had just survived 3 years of planning the National Conference on Christian-Jewish Relations, an international conference. And I was staring at the cast on my foot. And I said to said cast, I hope you're ready for the marathon that this conference is, because it has every controversial issue known to mankind, right? Church-state conflicts, international wars, ordination of women, life and death. How am I going to do this? Of course, I muttered to my leg, "We're doomed!" But the planning committee created the most incredible religious diversity conference I have ever seen. Thank you, planning committee. Maybe broken bones and breaking ground go together. Who knows? Despite the success, however, I was looking forward to turning the page. I was going to create a sweet interfaith network in the suburbs of Chicago, DuPage County, work from home, use my very first computer set up in my own kitchen, and see my beautiful daughter a little more. Yes, I was going to lay down my sword and shield by the Chicago Riverside Drive and do war no more. And then I opened up the Chicago Tribune, and on the front page, on the top of the fold, in glorious Technicolor, were hundreds of teenagers who had taken to the streets, shouting and shoving and making rude gestures as teenagers do, then joined by police, and then joined by, it looked like my neighbors. Yes, my hometown in DuPage had imploded over an issue of the Christmas tree removal in the local high school. Again, I looked at the cast on my foot and I said, of course, "We're doomed!" But so many years later, the DuPage Interfaith Resource Network created a path for peace through some of the most difficult, noisy years of my life. 2 books later, 21 years of diversity Thanksgiving programming, and there was a path to peace for communities. I thank my planning committee, my advisory committee, especially my advisory chair, Sister Marge Boyle. Marge, who knew that the 25 years before you became a Catholic nun and was project director for NASA would come in quite so handy. Well, this time I figured I really know this groundbreaking stuff. I could go after it on purpose. And so I took the job of media and community liaison for the Tulsa Jewish Federation shortly after the bombing of the Murrah building in Oklahoma City. I wanted to see firsthand what domestic terrorism looked like. I wanted to be in the seats for the trial of the bomber Timothy McVeigh. Now, it's true that eventually that trial went out of state, but the issues didn't go away, and I found that out after I got my first notice that someone would like to break my bones for me. And yes, I was trained by the FBI in counterterrorism procedures, and I was going national with a story of a local neo-Nazi hotline being run out of someone's home in Tulsa. And yes, I muttered, "We're doomed," quite a bit, but the planning committee of the Oklahoma Say No to Hate Coalition propped me up and helped me through it all. Thank you, Coalition, always. But I figured it was time for going Southern, for sweet smiles, sweet-smelling flowers, just like back home when I grew up in Bermuda. And so I came to become the executive director of the Jewish Federation here, to build a new cultural center. And there I was, you can picture it, sitting with the architect at the Big River Grill, having a lovely lunch, planning a huge monumental building for the cultural center that would rival the glass of the aquarium. And all of a sudden, on the television comes a breaking news story of the bombing of a California federation, and you could see the police lead the little preschoolers out single file to safety across the street. We immediately scratched all the glass and went to something secure. I hadn't broken anything, but better safe than sorry, right? And I didn't mutter, "We're doomed," until later, when I was on a mission to Uzbekistan, to Tashkent in Uzbekistan, and became so ill that I could not continue as executive director. Oh, I was so sorry. And I called some of my women friends, new Southerners and diverse Southerners alike, to put together a lovely, sweet network that would do programming, educational programming, in a lovely setting in Chattanooga. And we called a committee meeting for September 12th, 2001. No, I did not call it for the day after 9/11 on purpose. And yes, the next years were wild and crazy with global leadership classes and youth multicultural video contests, the AmericanDiversityReport.com, and of course, Women Groundbreakers. I have not muttered, "We're doomed," very long with this because of the committee that we have to produce this. So look in your program and you'll see the wonderful people who helped me do this. Thank you, always. Now bring on the groundbreaking.